Welcome to Rotten Potatoes with Bryce.
And Forrest, and we're here to ruin your favorite TV shows, movies, and video games.
On this week's episode, we are going to ruin the new map, Call of Duty Warzone, Verdansk. Just talk about the changes of what old Verdansk versus new Verdansk, which one's better, which one's worse.
Yeah, why there still is a Verdansk, that.
Yeah, let's dive into that. Um, okay, so we thought it was pretty good. That they were going to do something, and they've been leading up to it. They've had a lot of just different Twitter engagements and different just anything and everything going on just to lead up to this, where we think that Verdansk's actually going to be nuked. You know what I mean? Because like even in like one of those previous updates where they removed the statues and they showed the silos, like you really thought that there was nukes coming,
Right.
and so I was excited because I was very bored because you think about it, Fortnite has the same map. I mean, granted, they've done the nuking, they've done the bombing where they've changed the map a little bit, but it's pretty much the exact same. PUBG is definitely by far my favorite because it rolled out the snow map, the old desert map, the
Mm-hmm.
forest map, the
Right.
I think there's like 5 or 6 now, but and then you had Battlefield, which no one talks about, which is just trash.
Bad. Real bad.
So I think Warzone was our first like super active one. I mean, we did play
Yeah,
Apex a lot.
we spent a lot of time on it, but we've also spent a lot of time on Apex. In the beginning of Fortnite, we played a lot of it, but then once you
Yeah,
got
and
onto
Apex has the different maps as well. I mean, like
it,
Call of
yeah,
Duty is one map,
yeah,
and so I
yeah,
think that's why we were kind of because we got started, with Apex having different maps, PUBG having different maps,
yeah,
Fortnite regularly changing the map itself.
right.
So it's kind of we've gotten stale here at Call of Duty. And I think really the start of the disappointment train for me was when the boat came in and literally did nothing. I mean, granted,
Right.
it brought the zombies and
Yeah. Like the beginning and
kickstarted
the
this
end.
whole
Yeah.
yeah, the beginning of the end. But it was just really, I mean, like you saw that come out for like what, a week or 3 days, whatever it was, and it was just like
Yeah.
something crazy gonna happen, and then it turned
Right.
into literally nothing.
And it's like they did nuke Verdansk, but then they're like, we're just gonna send you back in time to the '80s because we can do whatever we want. And so they just reskinned the map and added a few things and changed a few things to where it's enough to keep people there for now, which is kind of
Mm,
upsetting because
yeah,
I'm glad they changed some stuff and I'm glad that we have something new to play. But at the same time, they could have just spent the time to make a new map and not reskin the same island, I think.
yeah, absolutely. Or even if they did reskin the island, actually make some real changes. I mean, well, they repainted the walls. Hell, Boneyard's still there, and the planes are in the exact same spot with no overgrowth.
Mm,
So I don't understand how that works.
right. I
And
think
then
they
adding in like the array, and like I know that they're supposedly trying to make those changes, but they should have made those changes before you went back to 1986. Because like then it really doesn't make sense because like, oh well, in regular Verdonks, like there's not even remnants of any of this being there, so it really doesn't make sense to supposedly add shit in the
unless they
back.
completely send us somewhere new after the season, like a new map after the season, then I'll be happy with it, you know. But
With the amount of time and effort they put in this, there's no way this is going to be another year project. I mean, honest to God, like I just don't see
yeah,
anything changing. And like out of the map changes, I think my biggest issue, my biggest qualm with it is Summit. So the reason why a dam is built is to hold back water, right? There's water being held back. And so if you went back 40 years, all of a sudden there's no water there. Like, why was the dam built in the first place if there was no water
yeah,
coming in? So the fact that, so like for people that don't know, because obviously, like, hopefully you're listening to us before you jump on, which at the point that we get this out, it'll probably be too late, but still, there might be a chance. So obviously, in the old Call of Duty map, if you remember, the dam is the dam, and it's got a frozen lake behind it, and it's got, um, just the dam, and now they've taken the dam completely out and they've put the gondolas in because the gondolas were there, they just weren't usable, but now they're actually usable. And when we played on it, I think the gondolas are pretty awesome because it does get you from, to that next point. But yeah, like everything, like all that concrete that's supposed to be there, it's just literally just open area where water should be just rushing in at that point. Um, oh my God, dude, I just had a brain click.
The
Okay,
explosion at the top of the mountain
yes, that's
was what I thought
exactly.
might have to do with it, but I don't think it explains why there would be a ton of water there.
So maybe okay, so for people that haven't watched it either, so we had so essentially, let's back it up. I apologize. I jumped ahead way too fast. So essentially on the last day of Verdansk, you're coming in and, as the infection breaks out in the different areas that were there, on that last day, we're sitting there playing it. And as you die, you come back and you turn into a zombie. Um, and so essentially you play the game until everyone dies out, which is kind of funny because I had Tim stream up because I was sitting there trying to get into the game,
Yep.
and literally like Tim crashed. I literally finally was able to get into it. He had crashed two more times, and I had already played the Warzone map, like already saw all that stuff and everything. So it cracked me up that a streamer, I don't know, maybe Xbox's master race, who knows? But I was able to play through it. But anyway, so you're a zombie and all that stuff. And essentially, which you learn later in the day, that you go to Rebirth Island and you set the nuke codes to launch and to wipe out the infection before it supposedly, I guess, outbreaks to the rest of Russia. Um, and so, like, that's how all that comes around. And so, when we started the game today, after the event that shows the new map, it shows the mountain that's off in the distance, which I don't even know what it looks like in the IRL game because I've never paid attention to the background like that.
Right. Yeah.
Um, what's his face from last season sets the bomb off in the mountain. It's a huge explosion. So like what you were saying earlier with the summit, I assume what you clicked it before I did
Yeah.
that the water might be coming in
Mm-hmm.
through summit, which that would be awesome that it floods. So like next season it could flood the
Yeah.
map and like wipe out TV station, maybe fuck up hospital a little bit, and maybe that's why it goes. Um, everything's ran down.
So,
Uh,
so are we just gonna play through flooded Verdansk in next season, and then just go through time until we get back to 2020, and like that'd be terrible.
yeah, it would be, but it's funny because if you really think about it, if we're looking at actuality, if the water did run in, so there's already a river. I'm looking at the map right now. There's already a river where like Summit's at and all that stuff. Like it's like just the open river that comes out to the ocean.
Right.
If that were to be a thing, there'd be a lot more erosion on the new map where a lot of those places that are there now should have been pushed out or should have been,
Yeah.
you know what I mean? Like it's so it
And
doesn't
they're
really
they're
make.
still kind of building that canal in the new map. They're got like construction equipment and like concrete slabs in there, and they're like constructing it currently. So maybe they're like
So I mean,
still building.
Activision gave some effort um into bringing it back,
Yeah.
but like for example, they put standoff between farmland and prison because just for the sole fact that you like had if you didn't have a car, like it is a long journey through like trees and open area that you can get sniped at.
Yeah, I
So
think
that's kind
like
of nice.
that's like the one thing they did on this one was they spread out a lot more cover across the map. So like for the open areas, you're not in the open area anymore. And then they also like put more buildings in between places and like towns and such to like give you places to play instead of just running across open fields and like just trying to get to the next spot. That way everything's a spot.
Yeah, and I mean, and but the way they did it though, I didn't like it. That's what I was gonna say when we were gaming earlier. Is that they literally took pieces of old map, like those buildings. Where I don't remember where we walked into. Where we're like, oh, this is new, and then immediately when you walk in, they literally just copied and pasted it. It was like
Right, yeah.
you're playing Forge on Halo, and you like copied a building and like moved it
Right.
over and pasted it.
Yeah.
And so I've seen that I think with a lot of the new map or the new buildings on the map. Besides like, because obviously standoff is a whole fucking map that they you know what I mean, they grabbed up from the old Call of Duty games and
Mm,
put there. And same thing with Array. And then the same thing, I guess no Factory is probably new.
I think Factory's
I don't
new.
recognize Factory.
There's like parts of it where like I see it in other places, but like it's somewhat. I mean, it could be a map on Black Ops, the new one, but
Yeah, I don't
um,
play that one too often.
right. And I am glad that they didn't throw us into the Black Ops engine instead of
Yes.
like because
Which
that
that
I
was
probably wouldn't have played after that because it's just not worth it. But
also, and they get rid of the plane and now you're on a troop of helicopters. Which I really think it's stupid. So they had the opportunity to have different spawn points for those helicopters, and then you
yeah,
all 150 are still spawning out of the same
jumping out of
helicopter.
the same helicopter.
And then like Activision, AAA game, AAA company. So you start off and you are a block character every single time. Like it's like you go from PUBG and then by the time you walk back to the end of the helicopter, you're like normal. And it's like, are you serious? Like I don't know
Yeah,
how you can't get that rendered. And like I have a Series X and you have regular Xbox and still we're having like the same where we're just nothing's rendering. It's just really stupid.
yep.
And then also, if we're going back to 1986, how does 10,000 rubles still cost the same? Like loadout should be like $100. So that's I think inflation. You know, I mean, they really didn't factor inflation when they brought it back to the 80s because
Fair
loadout's
enough.
still the same, revive's still the same. It's kind of bullshit, if you ask me.
Yeah, I mean,
Um,
like they did enough to keep us all here, and like that's great and terrible all at the same time. It's like I wish they would have put a little more time and effort into it. I know this is a lot of work they did and a lot of things had to be done and time put into this, and at the same time it's like they could have put resources towards a new map, and I don't know.
yeah, and I think when I was reading some that they officially have ended Modern Warfare, like they're done. And so maybe that's why they hurried up to put this map out,
Mm,
just to get it going.
maybe.
Um, but it just feels like a day after tomorrow type feel. You know what I mean? Like with
Yeah.
that Tom Cruise movie where you die and repeat, and it's just like
Oh, the Edge of Tomorrow.
Edge of Tomorrow. That's what it is. Edge of Tomorrow. Day after tomorrow is that global warming movie. My bad. Yeah, Edge of Tomorrow, where it's just like, and then so like obviously when the Earth rotates around the sun, that's a year, and then when the Earth spins, that's a day. And the fact that when they had the repeat thing, they literally just spun the Earth once, and it was like it's 1985 now, right? 86. That's like you literally just
Yeah.
went back one day. Like you didn't even like go around the sun at all. Like you literally just rotated the Earth one day. And all of a sudden we're in 1986, which is like something that's like really stupid and it should have easily been, someone should have caught that. I just
Right.
thought that was really stupid that it literally just had like one spin. Um, and then like those buses, I don't know, they just don't feel like they're the same bus. Like I know they're destroyed now, like
Yeah.
in the past, but they don't look like they're like that same model.
They're
It
really
looks like a
hard to walk
modern
through.
bus.
It's
Yes.
crazy.
Yeah, it's like there's bugs in a AAA game that they rushed to put out a new skin or something.
Small indie
You
company,
know,
dude.
yeah, small indie
Um,
company.
but like my only like saving grace at this point is like the map is called Flashback. So like I think they're gonna take us out at some point and take us somewhere new. And if that's true, then they put a ton of work in to give us a new skinned map and another map. But that's a long stretch from where we're at now, and I just don't see it happening. But I would
I mean,
love for that to happen.
they could make this into the plunder map and then put a new Warzone map in.
That'd be cool. Or
Um,
they could just rotate it.
yeah, yeah,
But
like the other games do, but I just don't see them doing it.
nah, I don't think so. I doubt it.
Also, I found out that in the quarry, all the buildings are open now. Do you know that?
I don't know. I don't know.
Yeah, all those
Really
doors
that
are
much.
open.
Hmm.
So like all the buildings and all the stuff that you couldn't get into before is now openable. So it makes it more of a drop, I believe. You know what I
Yeah.
mean? Because then you have a lot more cover. Because it felt like if you were down in the center and there was someone above you, like you were screwed because you couldn't run into anywhere to like pick up anything. Like you literally just had to like navigate yourself around and try to figure it out. But now that's just a salt mine.
Right. So it's like not dug out enough to become a quarry yet. So it's still just a mine, I guess, at this
Yeah.
point. Which is I don't know, because did they start mining like limestone after that or something? Like what?
See, like that's because I've been to the Hutchison mine and like the salt mine,
Yeah.
and those like veins are not small. So the fact that they were able to supposedly mine it with Russian technology in 40 years, I just don't believe it.
Well,
And the
it's
fact that, or go ahead,
it's
sorry.
it's kind of ridiculous because like I feel like the edge of the quarry beforehand was like lined with limestone. From what I could
Yes.
tell, what they designed out, and like now it's just like it's a salt mine, guys. Like, and it's like okay, cool. Like
Like, do you find lime on the second layer or something and thought it was worth
maybe
more
I
than
don't know
salt?
enough about salt mines. I don't know, but it's just kind of weird, I guess.
Yeah, I mean, it just that was a weird reskin on there. I mean, military base kind of seems the exact same, and like, dude, those tires were there, the trash barrels. I mean, they haven't moved even an inch in 40 years. It's kind of weird, most of the places on the map. Those cars are the exact same cars. They've been sitting, batteries are not dead, gas is still full. It's weird.
Yeah.
Just don't understand it. Just don't.
One thing they did it kind of pissed me off was like they just recolored some buildings to a
Yep.
different color that like we were using as a call out. Like, oh look, they're on blue, and now it's red, and it's like okay, like that's got to be a new call out. You got to figure out a way to
But I'm
make it break
colorblind,
green.
so
Right,
it's
but
fine.
like there's other call outs we make too. Like we used to call out like titties for the silos, but now it's
Yeah.
something else, so it's not even there anymore. So we have to come to a comp for that, which is fine. Like that's cool, but like I don't know.
Yeah, I mean, it definitely seems like a refresher in a way, but it literally just seems like an event skin. Like it really, I mean, it doesn't feel like it's changed enough for me to like put hours into it like we did in the beginning.
Right.
Um, like literally, I think once Battlefield fully drops, I don't really know if we'll be around Call of Duty anymore. And Call of Duty might have something up their sleeve that they're going to drop something major and they wanted to wait
Right. It's
until
possible.
Battlefield came out. So then they kept those Battlefield people,
Hmm.
I don't know.
Never
Um,
know.
but yeah, I mean, like, I think the story was kind of cool. Just for the sole fact that, like, what I mean? Like, the ship came in, started the infection moved around the city, which honestly, I think they should have kept the infection where it was at. So, like, if it started at the boat and moved to the hospital, like, it
Right.
should have
Just
been at
spread
the
out.
boat and the hospital. And then it would have gotten the game a lot more harder to play as we got closer to that. But the fact that it just like
Hmm.
shifted around and then all of a sudden had radiation zones, which was like such
Yeah.
a steal from Apex, because Apex has radiation zones in it. I mean, granted, you don't come back as a zombie, but you have and so that was really stupid. Like now, if it would have kept where the zombies were in those places and then it turned it into radiation zones, I think that would have been really interesting and cool.
Yeah.
So I think like the actual like story behind all that, I mean, it was interesting to say the least.
Yeah.
But the fact that you like all of a sudden go to Rebirth Island and nuke it is just really kind of
Yeah.
stupid. And then now when you play Rebirth, you can see the nuke. Well, you could before we went back, but when you did the night mission, you could see the nuke
Hmm.
off in
That
the
was cool.
distance. Which is yeah, I like that a lot.
Which is kind of sad because like after it blew up, it was like, man, we might actually get a new map. We might actually go somewhere.
Mm-hmm.
And they were like, nope, we got you. And then they were like, it's the same map. But like you were saying, like if they would have had the zombies hit the shore and then they just spread out from there, just a zombie like loaded area, just like slowly spread out across the map, that would have been really, really cool. And like
Yeah,
slowly take over like prison, and they would take over port, and it took over hospital. Like that would have been cool, but it didn't do that. They like
they just
hopped around
bounced.
for a while, and it was like, okay, this is someone's doing this or something. I guess I don't really know, but it was just weird. It didn't flow right. I guess.
Yeah, and it was weird because like they even like put like I feel like a stronger emphasis on zombies because like you had the electric one, you had the gas, you had the fire, you had and
Mm-hmm.
so like they made it really cool to like not have it like the zombies should not have been like a timer, like a mini game. It should have been like they were just actively like
Yeah.
in that area,
Yep.
constantly spawning and like kind of ruining those places of the map.
Hmm.
Because really, if you never set it off, you were fine. Like you could sit there and
Right, because it's like
it'd be
it's also
fine.
understandable that there would be like zombies coming out of the ground constantly because there's so many people that have died in Verdansk that it's like there's no shortage of bodies there, and
Yeah,
like you could have even had it as like the skins in the game would pop up and like be like zombified, but they didn't bother to do that. You know, that'd been really cool because it's like, oh no, that's my skin coming to kill me. That's great. Like that's that's
yeah.
cool. You know.
It it'd kind of be like the in Apex when like the loot boxes. You know what I mean? Like it was your friends' loot boxes and shit. So
Right.
like
Yep.
you'd see like your friends' skins and be like, oh,
Someone died.
yeah.
Yeah.
And so yeah, that would have been cool. That would have been okay.
Mhm.
But no, I think Activision is just very I don't know, just
I don't even know who's holding the reins at this point, to be honest. I don't know if Ravens got it now or if, like you said, I guess Activision's completely done with it. But I mean, I'm sure they're probably working on the next game they're trying to release, you know, for the next year or whatever it may be.
well,
But
isn't that this year's game? Is that
'cause I think it's supposed to be like
Activision?
a World War II game or something.
But it's Activision behind that one, not Treyarch, right?
Yeah, I believe so.
So they probably did pass the reins off to Raven, and they're now focused on.
Which,
Which the shitty part is that they even announced that there's not going to be a new battle royale map when the
right,
new Call of Duty comes out. So it's like,
this is it.
hear me out. We get nuked again, and that's the reason why Array and all that shit's not there. And then we go back to Rebirth Island, and then we flash back to World War II, and then we're still in the same map. That's how it's gonna
Yeah,
be.
yeah.
It's gonna be so miserable.
They tried. They gave it a good effort. And I'm sure a lot of people are really happy with this, and like it's gonna be good enough for them to keep going and having a good time. But like I'm gonna keep playing, but like I'm really hoping that they do end up going back and to the future, and this is just a flashback. That's all it is. And we have after the season, it'll be after the nuking of Verdansk, and then we'll go somewhere new or something. But I'm
See, I just because it's supposed to be Cold War-esque, so I think we're just staying in the 80s. So unless Treyarch takes more control over it and they bring over the zombie maps from Outbreak, because those are pretty awesome maps.
yeah.
And I kind of told you about that earlier because we saw the leaks of like the 80s cars and stuff like that, which is
Hmm.
definitely in Outbreak. Um, and so I feel like that's the only new map that they would somewhat throw out there because Verdansk now has both Modern Warfare maps and Black Ops maps, and riddled with it. So it's not like I don't know. It's just
Right. And like they have such a huge catalog of like maps they could use if they wanted to. That like
well, they reskin all their maps anyway, so
I know,
it's not really
and it's like I don't know why they wouldn't just build a whole new map with just multiple of their old maps in it and just
because
I
that's
don't
what they
know.
did with the Black Ops one, didn't they? Like the OG Blackout.
I think they had a few maybe. I can't remember. I didn't play that one all that much. I just wasn't a big fan of it. But
I think they had a few, but it was more original than this was. Um,
yeah.
but they had a few. But so this is our first podcast back. You think we've wrapped up Verdansk pretty much, and there
Yeah,
really wasn't a
pretty
whole
good.
lot. I think we put more effort into this podcast on this episode than Verdansk or Activision put on
Yeah.
reskinning
Yeah.
Verdansk. But um, so yeah, this is our first one back. We obviously you can see that we've upgraded. We have cameras now, so we'll be on YouTube. We'll be on Spotify. We'll be on Apple Podcasts. We'll be wherever you listen.
Yep.
And so we're going to be coming out hopefully just depending on the schedules of because we're still on this like COVID type deal where um, the movies aren't coming out as well as they should be just because everything's pushed back because of the pandemic.
Hmm.
So hopefully when we're starting this back up, we can maybe go to a weekly schedule. If not, we'll be on a bi-weekly schedule. Um, Coming out with movies, TV shows, games, stuff like that. If you guys want to hear something from us, let us know. Um, and we'll be adding in guests now that we have the Zoom, because the way beforehand we tried to add in guests, but it just really, the audio wise wasn't working as well as we wanted it to.
Hmm.
But now that we're sitting at where we're sitting at, with all of our updates and all that stuff, Force is going to look prettier next week because he's going to have a new camera.
Oh yeah.
So it's going to be nice. Um, and so I think we'll be off to a lot better start starting next week.
Yep.
Did I miss anything about
No, I
anything?
think we're back and gonna be trying to cover as much as possible and do as much as possible because we like doing it and it's fun to do. Hope you guys enjoy it and get something out of it, get a kick out of it, if anything. But I think that pretty much wraps us up here.
Yeah, so we're thankful for everyone that's stuck by and listened to all of our old episodes, especially in Brotherhood Academy. Um, but look forward to putting out new content. So this will be episode number 11, which is kind of crazy because I didn't even think we were at episode 4 or 5. But then when we looked back, we actually threw out 10 episodes. So this is episode number 11, post pandemic, I guess, pandemic-ish. So we're back up and running. Um, but yeah, so I guess that wraps it up for this week's episode.
Yep.
So tune in next week and we'll ruin something new.
Thanks.
Yeah.